Hello and welcome to Quiz Time. I'm Jess, and today I have 100 world history questions. So, do you know your Machu Picchu from your Maui or your popes from your palaces? Let's find out. The Ganges River flows through India and which other country? Pakistan, Bangladesh, or Indonesia? Bangladesh. Which capital city in Europe is the oldest? Athens, London, or Bucharest? That's Athens. When did the nation of Tanzania gain independence? 1991, 1956, or 1964? 1964. Which empire was the second largest of all time, behind only the British Empire? Mongol Empire, Russian Empire, or Qing Dynasty? Mongol Empire. The Great Schism was a break between which two historic entities? Rome and Byzantium, Roman Catholics and Orthodox Christians, or the Pope and Catholic bishops? Roman Catholics and Orthodox Christians. Why was the whale Porphyrius notable? He harassed and sank ships for years. He was the longest living whale on record, or he was the subject of a famous Athens statue. He harassed and sank ships for years. Which nation has the largest horse statue in the world? Mongolia, China, or Bulgaria? Mongolia. How was the Byzantine Empire established? The Byzantines conquered Italy, Constantine began his rule, or the Roman capital shifted to Byzantium? The Roman capital shifted to Byzantium. What was the original purpose of the famous Rosetta Stone? Translating Egyptian hieroglyphics, the genealogy of Egyptian rulers, detailing a financial transaction. Detailing a financial transaction. Ancient Egyptians are recorded as having loved to play which board game? Senet, Go, or Manola? Senet. Who initiated construction of the Great Wall of China? Wing Shihang, King Hu, or one of Zhou? Wing Shihang. Which country was the first to be invaded by Germany at the start of World War II? Netherlands, Poland, or France? That's Poland. Alexander the Great was from which country? Rome, Greece, or Byzantine? Greece. Which event marked the end of the Cold War? End of Cuban Missile Crisis, surrender of Russia, or the fall of the Berlin Wall? The fall of the Berlin Wall. Who called for the start of the First Crusade? Pope Urban II, Raymond of St. Giles, or Richard the Lionheart? Pope Urban II. Where was the printing press first developed? India, China, or Germany? Germany. Bites from what kind of animal helped the Black Plague spread around Europe? Rats, fleas, or dogs? Fleas. Who first discovered the medicinal importance of penicillin? Alexander Fleming, Maria Sharonova, or Petra Bondit? Alexander Fleming. Modern-day Istanbul used to be known as what? Constantinople, Islamabad, or Petra? Constantinople. How many crusades were there in total? 4, 10, or 8? 8. The Khmer Empire was founded in which country? Cambodia, Indonesia, or Laos? Cambodia. Buddhism spread to China from which other country? Korea, India, or Mongolia? India. When was the Silk Road most active? 500 to 800 AD, 200 to 400 BC, or 1000 to 1200 AD? 500 to 800 AD. How many gods or goddesses were the ancient Egyptians estimated to worship in total? 56, around 400, or more than 2,000? More than 2,000. How many countries were in the Commonwealth of England at its peak? 26, 116, or 56? 56. Who was the last pharaoh in Egypt? Cleopatra, Ptolemy, or Nectanebo? Cleopatra. Residents of the Byzantine Empire would have called themselves what during their lifetime? Turks, Byzantines, or Romans? Romans. Which Byzantine emperor is credited with putting together the Corpus Juris Civilis? Constantinus II, Justinian I, or Arcadius? Justinian I. What happened during the Nika riots in 532? The Hagia Sophia was burned, chariot riders ravaged Constantinople, or rioters burned the royal palace? chariot riders ravaged Constantinople? Who was the last emperor of Rome before it fell? Romulus Augustulus, Julius Nepos, or Flavius Caesarius? Romulus Augustulus. Of the original 7 wonders listed in 2 BC, which is the only one still standing? Pyramids of Giza, Great Wall of China, or Petra? Pyramids of Giza. Which English king signed the Magna Carta? King Louis III, King John, or King William II? King John. The Ottoman Empire captured Constantinople from which other empire? Rome, Britain, or Byzantium? Byzantium. Why was the Great Wall of China built? A show of imperial power, creating clear territorial boundaries, or protection from the Mongols? Protection from the Mongols. What is one of the main theories about how the boy Pharaoh Tutankhamun died? Killed by a hippopotamus, succumbed to tuberculosis, or murdered in a coup? Killed by a hippopotamus. Which country has the lowest population density in the world? Greenland, Mongolia, or Iceland? Mongolia. How old was the last emperor of China when he was forced to abdicate in 1912? 2 years old, 14 years old, or 26 years old? 2 years old. What distinction does the Forbidden City in China hold? World's largest imperial palace, world's oldest palace, or one of the 7 wonders of the world? World's largest imperial palace. After 600 years of dominance, when did the Ottoman Empire fall? 1651, 1890, or 1922? Yes, more recent history, 1922. Which is the oldest building site known to man? Stonehenge, Göbekli Tepe, or the Pyramids of Giza? Göbekli Tepe. Who is buried at the famous tomb of Cyrus the Great? Achaemenid Cyrus II, Emperor Cyrus Amadeus IV, or Candidate of Pyramids? It's the first one, Achaemenid of Cyrus. Sorry, all these strange Byzantine names. Rather than a crown, what ceremonial piece did Ottoman rulers wear for their coronation? Jewelled belts, decorative swords, or lavish woven headpieces? Decorative swords. What is the oldest building that's still in use today? The Pantheon, the Colosseum, or the Mausoleum of the first one emperor? The Pantheon. Who commissioned the construction of the Taj Mahal? Chandragupta, Ashoka the Great, or Shah Jahan? Shah Jahan. Who was known as the Napoleon of India? Samudragupta, Sri Gupta, or Vishnu Gupta? Samudragupta. What is a First Order Award in Mongolia? An award for assisting the government, award for scientific achievement, or award for having 6 children or more? An award for having 6 children or more. Which event marked the beginning of the rapid expansion of the Ottoman Empire? The rule of Sultan Osman, invention of the portable cannon, or conquering Constantinople? Conquering Constantinople. The Opium Wars of 1840 saw China pitted against which other nation? Britain, India, or Belgium? Britain. Who was the founder of modern-day Turkey, who caused the final collapse of the Ottoman Empire? Sibyl Kelkili, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, or Irfan Oga? Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. The Taj Mahal was built by 22,000 people and more than 1,000 elephants over how long? 22 years, 16 years, or 8 years? 22 years. Who was named as the beloved ornament of the Palace of India? Mumtaz Mahal, Kushana, or Kumaradevi? Mumtaz Mahal. Which country has the highest sheep to people ratio in the world? New Zealand. Where was Genghis Khan buried after his death? Ulaanbaatar, Erdenet, or it's not known? It's not actually known. Which Ottoman Sultan led to force that conquered Constantinople? Mehmed II, Murad I, or Bayezid II? Mehmed II. Who was the first known emperor of China? Liu Bang, Wing Shihang, or Yu the Great? Wing Shihang. When were the first fireworks created in China? 2000 BC, 1200 AD, or 200 BC? 200 BC. When was the Commonwealth of England established? 1286, 1822, or 1649? 1649. Who commissioned the construction of the Hagia Sophia? Justinian, Constantine, or Augustus? Justinian. Early postal systems relied on what to get messages to recipients? Fast-running footmen, horse relay systems, or campfires? horse relay systems. The Battle of the Bulge was fought in which territory? Belgium, Ireland, or Germany? Belgium. Who was the longest ruling sultan of the Ottoman Empire? Mehmed II Conqueror, Mustafa I, or Suleiman the Magnificent? Suleiman the Magnificent. Who was the only pope who was married during his papacy? Pope Adrian II, Pope Hormisdas, or Pope John VIII? Pope Adrian II. Which country is the oldest in the world that's been considered a continuous republic? Greece, Mali, or San Marino? San Marino. Which country colonised Suriname for multiple centuries? Britain, Netherlands, or Portugal? The Netherlands. What is the highest unclimbed mountain in the world? Ganga Puzinum, Kanga. I'm not going to try and pronounce them any further. It's one of these three. It is that first one. Which country is credited with having invented karaoke? Japan, South Korea, or China? They have a lot to answer for. Is karaoke a favourite of yours? It's Japan. Who was the first Mongol to rule over China? Genghis Khan, Mok Khan, or Kublai Khan? Kublai Khan. When was the first paper money used, and by which nation? Tang Dynasty in China, 1200s in Mongolia, or 1600s in Scotland? It was Tang Dynasty in China. What was Genghis Khan's name at birth? Bartar, Temujin, or Altan? Temujin. In which Mongolian city was Genghis Khan born? Burkhan Khaldun, Kenti, or Ulaanbaatar? Kenti. Which explorer served as part of Kublai Khan's government for 16 years? Marco Polo, Vasco da Gama, or Christopher Columbus? Marco Polo. What is the oldest name recorded in writing? Tariq, Kushim, or Muhir? Kushim. What is the official language of Suriname? Dutch, Suran Tango, or Surinamese? Dutch. When did Vatican City become an official country? 1858, 1652, or 1929? 1929. What was the former name of Suriname while it was a colony? Guyana, Dutch Guiana, or Netherlands Antilles? Dutch Guyana. Who was the Pope who signed the Lateran Treaty to make the Vatican an independent country? Pope Pius, Pope Sixtus, or Pope John Paul II? Pope Pius. What is the only Asian country that escaped colonialization from the West? Myanmar, Indonesia, or Japan? Japan. What was the name of the woman who was called the only female pope in history? Pope Joan, Pope Mary, or Pope Margaret? Pope Joan. Using the principles of Feng Shui, which area was chosen for the new capital of the Mongolian Empire during the Wang dynasty? Yunnan, Chengdu, or Xanadu? Xanadu. Which country developed one of the first international postal systems? Mongolia, China, or Russia? Mongolia. Myanmar was originally known by what name? Khmer, Cambodia, or Burma? Burma. What was the temple name of Kublai Khan, the first emperor of the Yuan dynasty? Shizu of Yuan, Yesen Temur, or Token Khan? Shizu of Yuan. Although there's no surviving record of how Genghis Khan looked, what is one of the most striking descriptions? Pale skin and hair, clean shaven, or red hair and green eyes? Red hair and green eyes. Where were Lewis and Clark hired to explore? Northern Americas and Canada, Louisiana Territory, or Baja, California? Louisiana Territory. Who is the most famous Polynesian god? Tangaroa, Ulapoka, or Maui? Maui. Which crusade did Sultan Saladin fight against? Fourth Crusade, First Crusade, or Seventh Crusade? Fourth Crusade. Where was the medieval explorer Ibn Battuta from? Morocco, Iran, or Egypt? Morocco. What was the only city of Venice known for historically? Scientific innovations, philosophical scholars, or maritime trade? Maritime trade. What is the name of the famous work written by Ibn Battuta? Arabia, Travels, or Learnings? Travels. What did Polynesian navigators use to explore the oceans? Three-person rowboats, single-person sailboats, or double-hulled canoes? Double-hulled canoes. Who defeated Saladin to reclaim Jerusalem in the Third Crusade? Richard the Lionheart, King Louis III, or Balaam the Hermit? Richard the Lionheart. What instruments did ancient Polynesian navigators use? Compass, early telescopic devices, or none? None. Where did Venetian explorer Marco Polo famously go? The Silk Road, India, or the Taj Mahal? The Silk Road. Where was the original Mount Everest base camp located before being moved to Nepal, China, Tibet, or India? Tibet. Who built the citadel of Machu Picchu? The Mayans, the Mexicans, or the Incas? The Incas. Which colonizing power gave Brazil its name? Portugal, England, or Spain? Portugal. Why was Machu Picchu known as the Lost City? The occupants perished, it was abandoned and forgotten, or it was hidden by the Incas? It was hidden by the Incas. When was the first Mount Everest base camp officially established? 1921, 1910, or 1898? 1921. When do the passages in the New Grange burial mounds illuminate? Winter solstice, summer solstice, or New Year's Day? Winter solstice. Which country is the oldest independent sovereign nation in South Asia? India, Nepal, or Bhutan? And this is your last one. That is Nepal. So, how did you do today? Drop your score in the comments below and, of course, like and subscribe so you get notified every time we post a new quiz. And join us next time on Quiz Time.